Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome to the third part and the last part of configuring and installing FreeBSD on this ThinkPad X61. I noticed that the second part I have published over 8 months ago, and now we are almost in mid-November, and I lost the track of what I did in the last two videos. I tried to sort of watch them, and I noticed the last thing I done was installing i3, loading i3, same with bash, sudo, and that's it. And yesterday, as I was going through the rest of the configuration on this machine to make it completely up and running, since I had a bit of time this weekend, I saw that maybe it doesn't really make much of sense to continue this video series so long, since from the second part onwards everything sort of boils down to your personal preference, whether it's about the packages, about the configurations, about whatever that you want to do. And I really don't want to bore you with the nonsense videos that doesn't add much of values. So I just went away, run the rest of my dot files, and then configure it the way that I want it. Now for this video, as sort of like a closure, I'll walk you through what I did, roughly speaking, not in details, and showcase you what this 20 years old sort of hardware is a bit capable of. You might be surprised actually, or maybe not. So I'm running also an older version of FreeBSD. The latest version is 14.3. This one is 14.2. I'm so lazy to upgrade it because my internet connection is not the fastest. The funny thing is that I've been on the same internet, sort of like a line and a speed, over the last 8 years. And as time goes by, it just gets slower, which is weird because it's supposed to have a download speed of like 5-6 megabytes per second, but nowadays it's less than a megabyte, and it frustrates me so much. And then from the provider side, they called me many times and then say, hey, do you want to upgrade it for free, but the condition is that you have to stay on the line and on the same provider for 3 more years. And every time I said no, I'm good already. But I'm just thinking to maybe either upgrade or just like change my provider. This is something that I got very frustrated while installing packages, because it took a long time, besides the fact that this laptop is also a bit underpowered by nowadays standard. Nonetheless, let's move on. So I installed i3 and the i3 blocks for the sort of the status bar at the bottom, and then did the basic configurations for it. So let me just quickly go to the config i3 and then open the config here. It has very minimal configurations. There's not much to do besides the i3 blocks setup and bunch of key bindings for various programs that I use. Bunch of it I also don't use it anymore, but I'm so lazy to clean it. And yeah, there is nothing else here to see. The terminal, I am using Alacrity. So my configurations more or less is consistent across all the operating systems, whether it would be FreeBSD, whether it would be OpenBSD or Arch Linux. The only thing that differs greatly is when I'm using Linux Mint, and the reason for it is that on Linux Mint I found the Cinnamon desktop very good and comfortable to use, that I don't need to use a window manager, all this window manager stuff. I sort of like scratch that itch using different operating system, and I also use it sometimes for work purposes, and in that case I really don't want to get into complications of the window manager. Many people may actually disagree with this message, but the fact of the matter is that if you are installing a tiny window manager, sometimes it gives you headache, and also sometimes the configurations, it becomes a bit troublesome. You have to actively maintain your configurations, especially as times move on and they release new stuff. So for the terminal, I'm using Alacrity, and I wanted to do some changes on my Alacrity configurations to change the background color, and then I noticed how simple and easy is it. and it has also some sort of a live reloading. Now the background color has become white. It's working even fine on this old machine that doesn't have much of the GPU acceleration, so to speak. But I have to warn you that do not, if you have such an old machine, don't try to install a compositor on it. I tried to install PyCom. I think I still have it even. Yeah, but if I enable it, the entire desktop and the experience becomes extremely slow. If you try to open a terminal, it's going to take a long time. And in terms of the Tmux, I am using my own configurations. Before that, long time ago, I used all my Tmux, but as of last year, I switched to my own. I have written one from scratch, and since then, I haven't even touched it. And it just consists of 66 lines of code or configuration, so to speak. Most of them are related to supporting Vim key binding with the also Vim copy and paste style. I can show you what I mean. So if I go, for example, above, as you can see, I'm actually moving with the Vim key bindings, right? And even I can actually go to the beginning of the line and the end of the line exactly with the Vim key binding. And then I can go here, for example, and then yank it with just Y and then paste it here. So this is what I like. Now the experience of my Tmux is matching with my Vim experience. But the Vim that I'm using is a classic Vim. I have a lot of garbage configurations there, which I need to get rid of it. And also I am planning, hopefully I will have a time soon, to switch to NVim, as I found it more comfortable to use. How this laptop will perform in terms of web browsings and stuff. The web browsing experience is not the fastest, but it's sufficient enough as long as you don't watch video or you don't do some, complicated stuff or loading. For example, New York Times. If you load the New York Times, probably it's going to crap out because the page is just trash. And besides the news, of course, it's filled with advertisements. JavaScript, you can see it's taking a long time not to load anything, and the first thing that it loads is whether I accept with the cookies. Nice. And yeah, subscription. Oh god, I haven't been on this website for ages. I don't read news anymore generally, and certainly not stuff like in New York Times or Fox News or any major stuff. But you can see, I think even you can hear how the fan spins up and goes crazy. As a web developer, it's really sad to see this is the state of the web in 2025 going forward to 2026. If you open other websites that are lightweight, even I can actually open ChatGPT, it's fine still. I can say, hello, what date is it today? And it should work. It's not the fastest, but yeah, I can see even here. Let me move this one above so I can accept the consent. All right. Because I think without that in Europe we won't load anything. Yeah. Now it's replying. Yeah, it's November 9th. Fantastic. Besides like light web browsing, you really cannot do much if I'm being honest with you, but that's enough for my need. And when it comes to the YouTube, just forget about it. I tried to install Linux compatibility layer. So if I search for something like a Linux here, and let me enter my password, and you can see there are now two, for example, compatibility layer. One is the CentOS version 7.9, which is already deprecated, and the other one is the Rock Linux. So if you try to install, let's say, something like a Sublime Text, again, sudo pkg search Sublime, it will install the Rock Linux. And Rock Linux is a solid Linux, but the bad news is it's compiled with the AVX1 flag, and the libgc doesn't work. because this CPU is super old and it's not supporting a AVX1. So what I did was to actually use the deb bootstrap to change the distro and not installing this package altogether, then using chroot to switch to the Linux environment, and then from there I install what I wanted. I'm going to quickly show you what I mean. So if I want to go to the Linux compatibility layer, I said chroot /compat ubuntu, and then I install ubuntu jammy, and then afterwards I do bin bash, and now I am actually in the Linux compatibility layer in the ubuntu. And then here I just do simply apt install whatever, right? And then afterwards I can create the shortcut that I want. For instance, I created the shortcut called Sublime to launch the Sublime text editor. And let me also quickly show you while we are at it, what did I do here? cd.localbin. And here, let me open the Sublime. It is as simple as that. So it does this sudo chroot and then launches the Sublime. Let's say the not so nice part of it is that I have to actually run it under sudo. So if I open a new terminal, it asks me for the password. But other than that, it's fine. I wanted to also sort of like try to make this FreeBSD kind of more useful by being able to play YouTube videos. I managed to install FreeTube on the compatibility layer, but the problem is that it's not giving me the sound, so there's no audio there. And I can show you quickly that FreeTube works. And this is something I am actually actively working on it to make it happening. And okay, chroot, sorry. Chroot, and then go here, bin bash. All right. And now I can, for example, launch the FreeTube without sandbox, since I am under no sandbox, since I'm using the root user. So it launches without a problem, but as I said, there's no audio, and now it failed. This happens once in a while. I'm not sure entirely why. It's also something else to investigate. You know, always demo time is the bug starts to bubbles up. Same also with the Streamlink GUI. I tried to install it under Linux compatibility, but it didn't work. There's still a bunch of things to figure out, and one thing that I am really looking forward to maybe using this machine is to do a bunch of experimentations with the FreeBSD. If the hardware allows, I really want to experiment with Beehive and then create videos about it. On the personal side, this would be my sort of like backpack go-to laptop. Say if I want to go to a coffee shop quickly, or I don't have much of things to do but I want to go out and then have a laptop by myself, this would be the case due to its form factor is super small and super lightweight. I really wish that Lenovo or any other manufacturers to produce laptop like this, because this is 20 years old and I can't believe how comfortable the keyboard is, and no wonder that a lot of people really don't want to give up on this sort of X60 or X61 series. I will use this one most probably for very light web browsing, you know, asking questions from ChatGPT, searching a Stack Overflow, writing blogs, etc. And then doing some, you know, text editing, again, mainly related to my blogs and as well as the experiments, to the extent that this CPU and the hardware allows, as it has actually just 4 GB of RAM, Core 2 Duo T7100. So it's very limited by nowadays. The standard, I think most of the people's phone has more capacity and also capabilities than this laptop. So that's all for this video, and as always, have a great time. Cheers.